Coach, obviously Jared Curtis is a talk of the offseason. Just what have you seen out of him on the field, off the field, ever since he got to campus?
I think a young player that needs room and time to develop. I've been impressed with his toughness and felt like he had a good off season. It's fun to kind of get to know him through this because obviously the recruiting was really quick for him, but he fits in really well with who we are and has earned respect of his teammates. But inevitably he's got a long way to go. So we need to give him the room to grow and to make mistakes and to be a part of that quarterback competition. But really enjoyed having him, and I think he really represented himself well this offseason.
What kind of advice do you give him? Because he's going to be a national story. He's local. Like, a lot of eyeballs are on him. What kind of instruction do you give a guy in that spot?
I think first is, observing him and observing how he operates. Jared's a guy that's really not interested in a lot of the spotlight. He's not really looking to be a story, and so he doesn't really hold on to that stuff. I mean, he's really focused on his work with the team. He wants to be great. That's within him. But we also understand that whether he wants to be the story or not, the story will be written. And so for him to anticipate that and to understand anytime that he has a chance to speak on behalf of the program, he's doing just that. He's speaking on behalf of the program, speaking on behalf of our team. And those are the conversations we have. But again, there's been no part of him that has tried to separate himself or tried to come in and establish himself as something other than a young player who's hungry to help us win games. And I think that is the perfect attitude to have. And the rest of it will come on the back end of that kind of day in, day out work. But I've been really impressed with how he's conducted himself, and it makes me hopeful for him. That level of humility is what's going to give way to his best performance.
When you see him on the field, what jumps out at you?
He's got arm talent, and he's got confidence to make the throw. And again, this is going to be a different speed for him, both the defensive backs and how they close space, and also the defensive line and how the pocket crushes. And so he's going to have to learn through mistakes. We've had opportunities through our OTAs for him to throw, and as you would expect, there are times where he's clutched the ball too long. There's times where he's tried to go across the field late, and those things end up in interceptions. That's just what it is. So learning those lessons, and again, for us, I realized right out of the gate here, I think it's been Jared Curtis, and I get that, but for us, it's like we're not going to have that level of microscope on him every day. This is about giving him room to make his mistakes and to become the player he wants to be. And the beauty of what is today, the 17th. I appreciate the green today for a couple of people. That's good. Forrest, well done by you too. So we have runway right now. We have runway for us to stack reps and to give him great experience and exposure and let it all sort out. But he has the tools. Playing quarterback is about more than just being able to throw the ball, and we're going to give him time to develop in those other areas too.
What's your ideal scenario for how long you want it to play out before, all right, here's our guy?
I think, to be honest with you, what is ideal is the sooner the better. I think we don't have that luxury right now. A year ago we did. So we have to get through scrimmages. It goes at least through the end of spring in my mind, and possibly through the summer and into training camp. I don't think that's ideal, but you want to make sure that you're seeing it clearly, because that position is the one that changes everything. And so, you got Blaze and Jack and Witt, and those guys have put so much work into this, and they're all four gonna give it their best shot. And I'm glad we have all four of them. And at the end of the day, we'll not just the one, but who's the two, who's the three, how are we going to split the reps, and the closer we get to the season and closer we get to game one, obviously you want to have somebody who is kind of taking that lead role and building chemistry with the first group. We don't have to concern ourselves with that right now.
Clark, you obviously, Diego and Jared are very different types of quarterbacks, which probably require different types of schemes. How are you managing to balance, maybe a little bit different when you look on offense as opposed to what you ran last year, and the guys who've been around kind of adjusting to that?
Yeah, well, again, the one thing that is for sure is that Diego Pavia will not be back. So whoever it is taking the snaps, we're going to have to evolve and adjust. And I thought we did a great job from 24 to 25, the kind of adjusting, evolving around Diego's skills. I think parts of that can help any of those four guys. Some of the tempo aspects of what we did to kind of put the defense on their heels. Eliminating some of the post-snap decisions. So, some of the RPO stuff that we did with Diego, obviously we put a lot on his shoulders with respect to getting us into good plays. But there's also opportunity within that because we feel like we have a really good backfield. And I think when you talk about Seti and MK in particular, those are guys, they had 3 carries in the bowl game through the tailback position. So we have an opportunity to get those guys involved and to feature a physical run game. And that is going to help the performance of the quarterback. So we're well into evolving our offense and evolving our approach. You saw some of that today in the way we're operating, but we'll get to know more about the skills of these quarterbacks as we go through spring. And again, it's all a matter of, can we play within our identity? Can we play within our strategy? And that's about complementary football, and that's about controlling the game with our offense. And we can accentuate the skills of the quarterback with the physical run game that goes through our tailbacks.
How is the last? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. You guys got some nice transfer additions on both sides of the ball. What's impressed you most about this transfer class as they got to campus?
Well, I think those guys have done a remarkable job of learning about our program, and it's meaningful to me. I think one of the big fears I had a few years ago when we started into this portal journey is, how do we maintain identity and how do we maintain culture and environment? And I think we've selected in to who we are, and these guys have chosen to be here because of the things that make us unique, and they've learned about what Vanderbilt football is and what it isn't. And you see them starting to develop their voice within that. And what we need for them to do is, once they learn who we are and who we're not, help us elevate. And that's what I see those guys doing, really to a man. So it's cool to me to be into year 6. That feels, even saying it, like an eternity. But you actually have something that feels substantive, like we have grown into something here. And so it's moving, and the guys that come into it step into it as it's moving forward. And I think we have an advantage there. There's a lot of programs that have to reset. There's a lot of programs that have had to, turn over the head coach or turn over coordinator roles, and we haven't done that. So we've had a chance to keep this thing advancing, and certainly those transfers will be a big part in our performance on the field. I've been most impressed with their willingness to come in and learn about what this program is and what it isn't, to then help us advance it forward.
Last question.
How has the last year changed everything for the program for you? It's been a whirlwind of, you were in playoff contention, you have a guy in New York for the Heisman, you signed a 5-star quarterback that everybody wanted. How's that changed the program in terms of perception, recruiting, portal, and even like demands on your job that weren't here a year ago?
Well, more people are interested in what we're doing. I don't know how many guests we had at practice today, but we're going to have to find out a system to, keep people back, and that's a good thing. They're paying attention, and I think it's something that there's not a lot of time to reflect anymore, and I've done the best I can to kind of really understand kind of who we are, where we want to go. But it feels really good that our program is becoming respected. The perception shifts happen on the back end of results. And what drove those results is day in, day out investment, independent of whatever external opinion is or isn't. So we won't change who we are. That's the lesson for us, is what is outside of us will change based off who we are, but we need to be who we are every day. And all the things that you mentioned, I think are to be celebrated. And then it's like we shift focus on, okay, you know, all right, we were on the fringe of the playoff conversation last year. How do we take that next step to be in it? You know, we had, you know, some award winners on our team. We want to continue to shine the light on the special players that are part of this program. I'm so excited for Pro Day on Friday and for these guys to have a chance to take their swing at the NFL. And I'm excited to have more draft picks, you know. It was great to have Julian Ashby with us today. He's the one, you know, drafted player that we have in the NFL right now. And so I think when you step into a job, you think these things happen more quickly than they do. And so to be at this point where you see some of these things coming to life is really exciting. But I think the drive becomes, it's almost like the sickness of a coach or a sickness of a competitor is, you know, hey, how are we leveraging this to move it forward? And this team is excited about that. This team is excited about, you know, the narratives that exist that say, you know, you've lost a lot of production or you're not returning Diego or Eli or whoever. I think this is a group that says, you know, this program's bigger than one person, bigger than two people. And that's going to be a special kind of drive for us as we form to say, you know, this is about Vanderbilt football and about us sustaining success. And in this league, that's really hard, you know, but the challenge is great, and so we're excited for that.